Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Meshi with Aligned Plans. Today we're talking about what I would actually do if I started my stash from scratch. Assume that I have absolutely nothing but money and I wanted to rebuild my entire stash. I keep wanting to say scratch for some reason. If I wanted to rebuild my entire stash, what would I buy? What is something that I would absolutely skip? So if you're brand new to the planner community, if you're brand new to planning in general, and you wanted to figure out what is worth it, what is not, what is something that would actually be essential, you have come to the right place. And without further ado, let's just get started with the video. So first things first, my criteria obviously have over the years have shifted, but one of the first things that I would like to actually figure out is what do I need a planner for? And when I figure out the purpose of the planner, then it becomes a lot easier for me to match the products. And what I used to do in the past is I would actually look at the product. I would see if I would see myself within that. Hopefully that makes sense. And then I would be like, does this work for me? Does this not work for me? But then when I would try it and start using it, a lot of the times there would be a mismatch. So I would actually start with my own needs first and then kind of build out from there. So for planners, given that my current needs at this very moment is something of a hybrid system. So what that means is I need it to be portable enough and easy enough to kind of fill and versatile enough so that it can kind of shapeshift with me as I need it. But then also I need another system that can be like this travel, mobile, on-the-go little command center so that if I have ideas, updates, references, anything that I needed to remember that was actually important, then I would have an outlet for it. So first, like my main command center that I would probably end up going with again has to go to the traveler's notebook. So the reason why I like this, and I think that many of you agree that the reason why this is so great is because I can actually fill it in real time however I need to. The inserts that I'm putting in here are not stagnant, they're not static, they can kind of move and shapeshift with my needs. And I didn't realize that I needed this level of flexibility until I did. So as of right now, I do have a weekly in here, which I really love because it's big enough, but it's small enough. So the layout absolutely works for me. I love that I can add enough detail where it's important, but then I don't feel like I have to write so tiny to make the details actually work for me. And alongside that, I also added in, I talked about this many times, this is the 005 diary insert, where I just get like a full page of just dump anything and everything that is important. I can decorate it if I really want to, but that's not really the point. So this allows me to do more daily note-taking and daily planning. Love it. I wouldn't change this, honestly. This whole setup though, generally speaking, actually stays home, and I'm quite content that it does because then I can do most of my planning in real time when I am here. And then some of this information can actually go into my mobile setup, and then that way there's a cohesion, but then there's also congruency between the two planner setups. Now for a mobile setup, my preferences slightly changed, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to add two products here only because they each play like a slightly different role. For a mobile setup, if I'm just strictly looking at life, like this is nothing else but just like what I actually need for life, I would go with the traveler's notebook in a passport size. I have a similar insert here so that I can add anything that's important that can come here. I look at this as like 100% sort of like an on-the-go, catch my ideas, but also catch like anything that's relevant to the week. So I do have a weekly in here, but it's like a cute little capture of a weekly. I look at this and I kind of view this as like a softer capture, like a softened version of what I would actually add in here. A lot less detail, maybe a little bit of like hybrid journaling if that's what I feel like doing. So because it moves with me, it's kind of nice that like it's flexible enough, but it's rigid enough where the structure is there, but then I can also add in some elements of fun and decoration and a little bit of journaling if that's what I choose to do. So as you can tell, I'm very mood-based. So most of these tools absolutely need to match my mood. And the other thing that I have in here that I usually add is basically if I want to do any journal, well, I would look at this more like a commonplace book, but mainly daily journaling. If I'm actually on the go and I want to kind of write something important, that's where this insert is for. Now for actual ideas and something where it's not necessarily planning, but literally just like a full-blown outlet without carrying like a small flimsy notebook, it would have to go into the plotter. And the plotter has actually really surprised me because it's so thin and so delicate, but I can dump most of my ideas in here. I don't feel like I need to do daily planning here, but I can outline things, I can brain dump things, I can process things, and it's thin and delicate and wonderful, super fun to use, by the way. So I usually just use like these color dots so that I kind of categorize exactly what's happening. And I have been thoroughly enjoying this, and I think that I'm going to be expanding on this as more like a mobile, like almost like a brain center. And to me, that absolutely works. So now that we've established planning and planners, the next thing that I would absolutely have to reach for would have to be pens. And because I just showed you 3 different pens, can I use one for all of them? You can, but if you're extra like me, then you probably don't. So what I tend to reach for, because I have preferences for each, I would probably go with actually just 3 different pens that makes perfect sense to me. And it's already here, so why don't I just show you? If you are enjoying videos like this, where we're looking at how to build like a full system from absolutely nothing, and you love planning, journaling, and stationery from Japan, make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't had a chance to just yet. I would love to have you in the community. Okay, let's get back into the video. So I would go with the Pilot Kakuno as a daily driver if that's what I'm in the mood for. But really, like I would more than likely actually repurchase this if I didn't have this, mainly because it's easy to fill it. It's very inexpensive. It's not a super expensive pen, which means that if it gets damaged or I drop it or something happens to it, I can easily replace this and I'm not going to cry about it. The other pen that I love, and I have multiples of them, and if I didn't have any of them, I would still repurchase this, would have to go to the Kaweco Sport. Honestly, the color would actually just have to depend on my actual mood. The only thing that I would want to make sure of, whatever color I choose, I would have to have a clip. And I'll tell you why. Because if I'm taking my TN with me, I want this. This is what I imagine. This is what I would like to just like, off you go. If I'm not taking like a pencil case or anything like that, this is how I would imagine this. So I would make sure that there is a pen clip attached to it. I like these because, again, similar to what you get with the Pilot Kakuno, even though it's a different writing experience, I would still have to go with, I love how, first of all, I love how small and chubby it is. Everything about it, it just screams cute, but make it functional. So hence why I have multiples of them. And sometimes I leave them in my pencil case. Sometimes I have them at my desk as the mood strikes. So see a theme here. And then the only other pen that I would add into this lineup that is almost becoming like a non-negotiable for me has to go to either a fine tip gel pen or a fine writing ballpoint pen. So the 2 that I would 100% consider repurchasing, one of them, and I mentioned this many, many times, this is the Pentel Energel in 0.5. It's a needle tip point pen. It's very fine. It writes beautifully here in my Passport TN. But if I don't feel like reaching for this or I just want something different, then I would also make sure that I grab this. This is from Pilot Il Mili. I see myself buying more of this because you can actually get colored ink cartridges for this. So then now like we're looking at like a double purpose of like how I would use this. Right now it just has black ink here. And I use it for just, writing down quick scribbles. I use that here. It fits really well. The pen is thin enough that I don't feel like I have to work extra hard. It just fits right into the pen slot. So for that reason, I would absolutely have to go with both of these because I think that they are not only worth it, but then they're functional in a way that I'm looking for it to become functional. Let's talk about accessories. What would I actually replace for accessories? Now that we have a few pens going on, and I would probably buy some inks, but I'll show you maybe a couple of inks that would probably make it. Actually, why don't I show you inks? For inks, honestly, if I had absolutely nothing, I would probably place an order and have a couple of like Sailor inks or Pilot inks as samples. But beyond that, if I wanted something quick and ready to go, I would also invest in the Kaweco's just basic ink cartridges. These cost maybe like $3. They're small and compact. You get like 6 ink cartridges. They do last quite some time. And like, look how small and compact she is. And she just fits right in. Like, let me just scooch over and we are good. And you can just close me and it's a non-issue. So I love stuff like that where it can just seamlessly fits into what I'm already doing. So for that reason, I would absolutely grab these, and I would probably grab, I will just put on the screen at least 2 of the colors that I would consider purchasing. One of them would probably be the Pilot Irishizuku Tsukiyo, which is like this nice cooler toned blue. And then I would probably go with maybe like a green or a brown. And Kaweco Sport also has a really beautiful brown. I think it's not caramel brown. I would just pop the bottle here so you can see. I honestly can't remember. I know, like, I would keep it very simple. What I used to do in the past, especially when I was just first getting started with fountain pens and with inks, is I wanted to have a variety of both inks that I can reach for day to day, as well as I wanted to have like this full array of colors so that I can choose from them. So I would have some yellows, I would have some like deeper burgundies, I would have some browns, some earth tones, and those are all great. But I mean, at the end of the day, half of it was like actually not necessary. And I don't regret buying it. I did learn in the process of actually purchasing it, and they did bring me joy and I did use them. But starting from scratch, if I wanted to keep it bare bone basics and still add the same or similar experience to what I'm having right now when I'm using it, I would keep it a lot simpler, and I would stick to colors that are going to be very legible, which was actually important to me, and colors that will stay really consistent every single time, but not boring. So that was sort of my criteria on inks. Accessories. So glad you asked. You know what? I'm actually going to be a menace, and I'm going to include this. You will hate it. I know. It's not like, oh, it's an entry level thing. No, this was definitely an investment for me. And honestly, I have to be honest with you. I love it. And honestly, like when you're looking at like what is something that was actually worth it, anything that like I ended up buying from Bumkuin when they have something that like a collaboration with Superior Labor, or anything like these leather like pouches and inserts and things like that, or covers, I haven't regretted them. I don't buy them often. They are definitely, certain pieces are definitely an investment piece, but I also don't walk away like it stopped me from feeling like I need more or better. So if I were to like repurchase another pen case or a pouch, I would skip buying a lot of the like pouches. So I wouldn't gravitate towards something like this originally from like Superior Labor, even though this is good, but this is fantastic when I'm traveling. It's not something that I would reach for daily. This is 100% what I would reach for on a regular basis. And it's almost like the more time goes on and the more the leather kind of gets worn in, the more I fall in love with it, because it holds enough things in here. It has a couple of, it does have like a couple of sleeves if I wanted to add extra things here, but everything about this just feels and screams sophistication to me. So I would definitely repurchase this. I would probably not like the price point, but I also wouldn't really care, because I know that if it's an investment piece, then I would lean heavier into that versus like buying 20,000 things and then I end up not using them. Probably the most functional stencil that I bought were actually not like the little shapes that you can get. I end up like reaching for the alphabet actually. And because it also doubles as like a bookmark essentially, and it's small enough, but there's something about like the brass anything that just somehow has a chokehold on me. I don't know about you, but I would 100% repurchase this. I think that it's super functional, very useful. And it honestly, it just kind of works. And same thing goes with something like the clip that they have. I would absolutely repurchase this. Not so that I need it here, but I would actually use it in the large size TN. I wouldn't end up using it here. It's just, I don't find it necessary. But I would definitely use it within the regular TN. Like, I love that I can just kind of hide her, and it's just so cute, so delicate. So stuff like that definitely would make the list. The other accessory that I would absolutely consider, and it doesn't have to be this particular one, but I would look for a style like this, would have to be something where where it would give me like a dot, either like a dot marker, or I would have like dot stickers. But I would either grab for something like the one Midori has, where you have 3 colors and then they all kind of come apart and all attach into each other. So first of all, like, I love that concept, right? I don't know, to me, it's just, the whole concept here just feels very nostalgic. So I would buy either something like this, or I would just probably get another stack of dot stickers. These happen to be from Swatelier. I would stock it up, and then I would just shove it in here, and then we're good to go. The other accessory that would actually have to make it onto my list, and I never thought that this would be a thing that I would actually gravitate towards, it would have to be the little scissors, because I can tell you how handy this comes, especially if I want to sit down and journal, not necessarily plan, but just journal about anything and everything, and I want to decorate my TN, or if I wanted to decorate my full-size TN, then I would definitely need to replace my little scissors, because again, it's so small and compact. I can just kind of throw it in here, boom, and then you're good to go. And on that same wavelength, if I'm decorating literally anything, no, I'm not going to walk you through like, these are the stickers, this one and this one and this one. We're not going to do that, because obviously my style has evolved. I would look at seasonal stickers. I would buy like a full sticker sheet, and I would call it a day. Or if I was really like building everything out from scratch, I would get a couple months of like a journaling stationery sub box. I would build up my stash that way. I would add a few seasonal decor like sticker sheets, and I would call it a day. So I wouldn't have this inclination that I would need to overload my stash for the sake of allowing me to stay creative. I have an understanding of what my style is and what I'm drawn to. So I'm always kind of steering on the side of less but better. And also I would challenge myself to actually use up what I have as close to it before I do almost like an area shift. Speaking of which, to make my life a little bit easier, I would also grab this from Cloth and Paper or something similar to this. These are like these thin little scissors, super sharp. And honestly, I can't tell you how many times I've had sticker sheets or icons, especially like smaller icons. Like this one is from Kubo and Lucy. It comes off easily, not a big deal. But I just feel like with something like this, you have like so much more control of where the sticker goes, what you want to do with it, where you want to place it. And the smaller the stickers get, the more likely I end up actually reaching for this. It's not something that I use daily, but it's something that I use often enough where I would definitely want to replace, and I would notice it if I actually didn't have it. As far as like travel bags and stuff like that, like as of right now, the way things are standing, the way my life is at this current moment, would I rush out to grab this? No. Do I like it? And am I glad I have it? Yes, but I don't think that I would need like a big, like I would probably size this down so that it becomes a fully compact, like actual travel version of like a planning bag. I don't think that I would buy another medium just because I just wouldn't feel the need to. I want to kind of keep my system and my planning system as compact as possible. However, I would still buy this again, which seems kind of counterintuitive, I know. But I think that this would actually be like a nice on-the-go command center. This one is from Plotter. It's large enough where I can put my laptop in here, which I think is still very useful. But this also forces me to not bulk it up. So like once I put my laptop in here, here's a full vision coming to life. So I put in my laptop so you can see it. And then I actually wouldn't take this with me. I would probably just add a pen. And Miss Plotter. Could I add like whatever? Like, yeah, I could, but I kind of don't want to. See what I mean? And then that's the whole vision. And it's like, here you go. You have like a full command center. So this is exactly why I like this. This is exactly why I like that holder. I would probably still repurchase that again because when I'm on the go, I want everything to be compact. If I just want to journal, then I would basically just size down from this. Even though when I'm traveling, I would be missing this, but it's not something that I would feel like it's an essential that I would need to replace right away. Over time, I would probably replace this, but I wouldn't be like in a massive rush. So you can kind of see the scale that it's not that it's bad. It's just I wouldn't be in a rush to have this replaced in order for me to get started with planning. I wouldn't actually feel like, oh my gosh, like I need like 20 different inserts and I need like the bag and then the travel bag and this and that. Look at the flow of my life and where I'm most productive and where I need my tools to be accessible and the function that they need to play in my life so that I can do the thing that I do without too much friction within my day. And then that's the filter that I use. So it's not necessarily like, oh my God, like, am I drawn to this or am I not? No, no, no. It's more about what are the tools that actually make my workflow seem a lot easier and where I can actually put my ideas down on paper so that I don't scramble later. What is something that slows me down and what is something that allows me to pick up speed? So I kind of like break things through that filter now. But in the past, I didn't. Especially when I first got started with planning, I was very much looking at what was the aesthetic of the brand that I was drawn to. And then I was trying to shapeshift so that I can match that brand's like idea of what an ideal planning is. And then when I saw that there was a disconnect, then I felt like, oh, why does this not work for me? And then now, like years later, it was because I wasn't building out the system that was actually functional for my needs at that given time. What is something that I wouldn't actually bother with? What is something that I would absolutely avoid? I would avoid random, overly specific inserts for the TN. I wouldn't buy 20 different inserts and 20 different covers just because it's a limited edition. I also wouldn't, unless I can give it a function, it's not coming. And I would also invest in like a leather moisturizer. I'll pop a picture of it here. One of the best decisions I've made because the leather feels very soft and moisturized. It doesn't feel like it's dried, crackled skin, which is really great. I would also not buy kits of certain like highlighters because they're trendy. I wouldn't buy like every color and different style pens. I'm glad I tried different style pens, but I wouldn't have bought as much as I did because I felt influenced. So those would be the things that I would skip. And in my minimalist planner, if one day I would ever replace it, I actually wouldn't go crazy with specific inserts that only looks good on the screen when I'm being influenced. But in reality, I couldn't articulate the function of it. I couldn't articulate how that would actually make my life easier. So I would skip a lot of that and I would be patient to build over time. Because sometimes most of the clarity for me personally actually came from me using the tool, testing it, fine-tuning it, and then kind of building on it versus I buy everything because I'm like having a field day on shopping. And then after that, there's half of it that I can't even use because it's not useful for the purpose that I need it for. Now, here is your question of the day. Please let me know in the comments, what is something that you would absolutely have to have in your list as an essential if you were to rebuild your stash from scratch? Please let me know. I would love to hear from you. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. I wanted to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. If you did enjoy it, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't had a chance to just yet. And in the meanwhile, just keep planning, keep journaling, keep doing all the things. And I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye.